Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Jeremy. This is Whitney.
Hi.
And we've got some special guests on the line here today. This is the Qolsys webinar, and we are going to talk about creating compelling model homes. This is the third in a series, a three-part series that we've been doing in partnership with Rapid Response and Alarm.com. And we're very excited to kind of wrap this series up. I think it's been a really, really fun series. Before we dive into the content, there's a couple things that I want to make sure that we cover. First off, this webinar is being recorded. For those of you who are watching live, just make sure that you are chatting in with us, your questions, your comments, things like that. There's a section called chat or questions on your GoToWebinar control panel. You should be able to find that. Chime in, tell us where you're calling in from, what company you're with, tell us, what you plan to do this Labor Day weekend, whatever you like. We'd love to hear from you. I just want to make sure that interaction system works, because we want to make sure that you can do that. And if you can't hear us well, if you maybe can't see the screen the right way, things like that, let us know so we can do our best to help you with technical issues. As far as the people we have on today, Whitney is going to be handling some of our questions. We've also got Kelsey Wing on the line, who many of you know from our previous webinars and from many of our videos, is on the line as well. Both of them will be handling all of your questions, making sure that you get answers to them, as well as bringing them to the surface so that we can discuss them here on the webinar today, because that's really what this kind of stuff is about. It's not just about, our guests and myself talking, but it's about understanding what your best practices are, what your questions are, and doing our best to really create a dialogue and a conversation between us all. So, Whitney, thank you for fielding the questions. I know it's going to be a lot of work. So.
No problem. We have a lot of people on.
Yeah, do we?
Yeah, we've got Megan, Mark, Lucille, Christy, Kim, Heath, Garrett, David, lots of Davids. Colleen, Chad, Brian, Ashley, Alexandra, lots of people. Ryan, Scott, lots of Scott, lots of Stuart.
Hello, everyone. I say a lot of familiar names. I'm glad you guys are all on today. Thanks very much. And I know some of you are probably, starting your holiday weekend early. Some of you are, 6 months pregnant and wishing that you were not sitting in front of a computer. Some of you are, trying to figure out what your next move is in the market. So we really appreciate you guys taking time out of your day. So thank you very much. Before we begin and I do introductions, I do want to have, I'm trying not to cry here, a little moment of silence. We learned recently that this week, the director of dealer programs for Guardian Security passed away. He was an amazing man. Our heart goes out to his family and his children, and we hope that if you guys have that opportunity if you had the opportunity to meet John County and to understand who he was and the kind of person he was, that you'll reach out appropriately to those people that you know, and just let them know that you care. So, John, we're gonna miss you, buddy, and you left a hole. So thanks for being Oh, okay. So I'm going to make this positive. Okay. So again, thank you. Welcome to the webinar. And let's dive in with introductions. So I'm going to go to the next slide here. We've got some really special guests on today. Madison Bowles, you are a Qolsys webinar veteran by now. You've been with me on so many of these things. Thank you so much for taking yet another hour out of your life to come and be on our webinar today. Madison, can you hear us?
Madison, we can't hear you.
Not yet.
Not yet. She's laughing, though.
Yep. Maybe we could lip sync for her.
No.
Whitney, you look so great today.
Oh, yeah, we should totally
Whitney,
do that.
you're so talented.
Why can't we hear her? Madison. Audio pin?
Yeah, try that. Well, while we're getting Madison's audio fixed, Chris, you're new to our webinars today. I think you've been on each of our webinars, not only as a guest, as an attendee, but also as a kind of a background presenter for the past several of them, and I really appreciate you being here. You're the Director of Marketing for Rapid Response, and this is your first time being a guest on a Qolsys webinar, so welcome. Glad you're here.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's very exciting. I've always enjoyed watching your webinars. You're always very animated and engaging, and I'm excited to be part of one.
Well, thanks very much. Madison, did we get your audio figured out?
No. What do you think she said?
No. Hey, Madison, it might help.
Oh, wait.
Wait.
Unmute. Okay, talk.
Now try.
There we go. I think we're good.
Madison, welcome.
Yay!
always a little technical difficulties. You never know what's going to happen. But thanks for having me on. I always enjoy doing this.
Well, thank you very much for being here today, and thanks for being patient with us as we try and figure this out. So for those of you that are not watching live, this is recorded on YouTube, and we'll post it on our YouTube channel later on today. Those of you who are attending or maybe didn't get a chance to attend, you should have gotten an email in your inbox that will basically get you a link to that. So we'll make sure everyone has a link to that. I do also want to spend a little bit of time recapping what we did on our first two webinars. Like I mentioned earlier, this was the third in a series of 3. Webinar number 1 was about how to create a builder program, and we talked about lowering your creation costs by using existing contractors. There's people who are installing thermostats today in the home. Maybe they're not installing smart thermostats, and you could help them understand which model would work best with your system. Hey, you installed this Z-Wave thermostat, it's the best one. Maybe it's a door lock, a Z-Wave door lock, like a Yale lock or a Quickset lock or a Schlage lock. Maybe you want to encourage them to install certain types of Z-Wave lighting in the home. And that way, when you come in, it makes it easier for you and lowers the creation costs that you have to make the home smarter. We also encourage you to create model home, executive, and employee programs. There's a great model home program that Alarm.com and Qolsys have teamed up to provide you. And you should not stop there, but create your own executive programs to entice those builder leaders to use your services. And then employee programs that will teach your salespeople and all the other employees of the builder about your systems and give them that personal experience that allow them to then take that experience and translate it to the field. We talked about construction power savings and the ability to leverage the technologies in the home to reduce the builder's costs, and how that's a big part of a builder program, because builders are looking at price, and that's a price you can affect. We talked about pricing models, about a free version, a paid version, a pro version, and that got a lot of attention. And if you didn't watch that webinar already, you should go back and watch that. It's very interesting conversations around that. We talked about the power of rebates and how builders love getting more money, and how you can structure your business in a way that gets them more rebates. And of course, about support, not only the support that we here at Qolsys and Alarm.com and Rapid Response and other companies can provide, but the support that you as a dealer can provide to the home buyers that no other companies are going to be able to provide. So you're in a really unique situation to be able to provide that kind of support to the builders, and builders really love that. They don't want the home buyers to call them back. They want to sell the home and get on to the next one. They don't want someone calling up and saying, hey, how does this work? Hey, can you fix this? Things like that. So you can provide that professional support that they can't. We also, in our second webinar, talked about creating compelling model homes. And I thought that was a really great webinar. We had tremendous participation from you guys out there participating, asking questions, making comments. And here's some of the main points we took out of that one. The first is the model home program really works. Take the free devices that Alarm.com and Qolsys provide and put them in there, but don't stop there. Deck out the model. Take devices out of your own inventory. If possible, put everything you possibly can do, every service you can possibly offer in the model home, so that you not only can demonstrate everything you can do, but it helps to protect the model. It helps to create a security system around the model home. This is a real asset for the builder, and being able to protect that model not only will help the builder feel better about using your services, but will help promote the whole idea of security. We talked about how important it was to have an employee purchase program, because the salespeople in the model homes are going to see this stuff, but they're going to say, I want it too. And when they have not only done their training, like it says in the next bullet, model home staff training, but when they have personal experiences to share, that becomes tremendously powerful and can help increase your take rate. We talked about turning the model almost into a museum, making it so that they could do a self-guided tour. If a homeowner wanted to walk through and look at things themselves, they could see things like, hey, Alexa, tell, the light to turn on, or, try saying this or try doing that. Having this kind of self-guided tour and a guided tour, making sure the model home felt adequately prepared to give a guided tour of the smart home features, and a few quick and easy demos they can do to really entice the homeowner to get excited about that. And then the really important task of checking back regularly with the model. Don't just install it and walk away. Check back regularly. Make sure that the systems are working. Make sure the demos are working. Make sure new sales staff are trained. make sure your signage is up, replenish any flyers that you have installed in the model. But that really makes this model home a really compelling experience and will drive not only take rates that we're going to talk about today, but will also make the builder very, very happy with your services. So really excited about all of the stuff that we've covered so far and excited about the content we have today. Now, Chris, Rapid was amazing in getting us some really interesting data from Parks Associates, and this is a slide from one of our previous webinars, but I think it's really important for our discussion today, right?
Oh, absolutely. I think that when you're talking about take rates, you really got to think about opportunities. And in a smart home, opportunities are everywhere you look, or they should be. Based on some of the things you were just saying, you should put them anywhere that the home buyer is going to look, see your brand, see where they can grow with you. In our first two webinars, we shared data from Parks Associates that they gained from independent polling of households using broadband internet connection, basically any kind of internet connection, to show the connected home. This slide really indicates the purchase intentions of the consumer and talks about how 25% of the households that were surveyed were looking to add a video doorbell, another 24 smart light bulb, 23 a smart thermostat. I mean, almost 25% across the board with these 5 devices. And these are the types of things that every one of us is now talking about putting in our homes. So being the one to provide them is a great solution for you and for increasing take rates.
And I think an interesting stat that we're not showing here that we did share on a different one was 43% of people surveyed intended to buy one of these devices this next year. So we know that there's a precedent out there for getting this technology not only in the home, but getting ourselves in front of the homeowner to establish ourselves as the authority. If you want a video doorbell, I'm the one you should talk to. If you want a smart light bulb, I'm the one you should talk to. If you want a smart thermostat, I'm the one you should talk to. As you assert yourself in that market, with the builder, with the homeowners, it helps not only promote these technologies throughout there, but it helps show that the whole broader ecosystem can be brought by the professional channel. Now, you also brought us some new data today, and that the average number of devices per smart home is up by 18%. Wow.
Absolutely, yes. And if you look at this chart, it's talking about 2016 through 2018, and each year, the average home was adding 2 connected devices. I myself have added a lot more than that, and offline we had this conversation about how we all feel like in 2019 that's probably even greater than 2. So this just presents opportunity, and this whole data set is really just showing that the pie is growing, the opportunity is there, and it's time to strike.
Absolutely. I think I've shown on many webinars for years that kind of bell curve, not bell curve, that big hockey stick curve of how the Internet of Things is going to be adopted. And, this just, I look at 6 devices and I think I've got a whole lot more than 6 devices in my house right now. I'm sure you do too. Connected devices?
Yeah.
Yeah. If I tried to think about how many connected devices I have in my home, I'd be shocked if it was less than 100. I'd be shocked.
We do have a couple questions
Sure.
From Eric. He says, of each of those, which percentage already had certain brands in mind? And what are the standard deviation of those averages?
Really interesting questions. I wish I had that data. That's a great question for Parks Associates. Maybe we can go back to them and ask them that information. And I think that is interesting when you said brands in mind. That really does establish in our minds what brands do you recognize. And if we were to ask you right now, what brand, if you were going to buy a video doorbell, what's the video doorbell brand? I think many of us are biased because of the solutions that we're putting in place. But if you were to ask your neighbor, your best friend, your parents, etc., what video doorbell have you heard of? There's probably 1 or 2 names they've heard of, and that they're generally not ones that the professional channel are installing and not ones that integrate. So that brand recognition is important, and that's another reason why we as a market, as an industry, need to get out in front of this to make sure we assert ourselves as the authority in that space. So now you've also got some information on the average number of connected devices kind of by category, right, Chris?
Yeah, as we were just talking about it, this chart here illustrates that the number of connected devices in a home is dramatically on the rise. In comparison to all the devices, it's taking a larger chunk of that pie. You mentioned you probably have 100 in your home. If you have kids, you probably even have any more, and that just continues to grow and grow and grow. And think about your neighborhood. Think about your friends and those that you spend time with. The types of devices and things that they're getting on their wish list and Christmas time and all that, they're all connected now. Everything's connected. Even your power companies are now selling to their consumers the ability to buy Wi-Fi thermostats just to get them more connected. You want to be that solution provider, so they're not necessarily going to a website or a big box store. They're going to you to get the solution that they want, whether it's a video doorbell or a smart thermostat or a light bulb. That world can be connected under one ecosystem provided by Qolsys and Alarm.com.
Absolutely. And all of those devices working together within that single app experience, within that single panel experience, makes a real big difference to people. I mean, there's a lot, and I wish we had the stats to show it right now, but, I've seen some data talking about the dissatisfaction that people have had, the app fatigue that they experience when there's multiple solutions out there. I do think it's interesting if you look at the 2018 numbers here, total number of connected devices per household is 10.4. Of those 10.4, 8.6 of them are computers, mobile devices, smart speakers, entertainment devices. Only 1.3 are smart home devices. I think that number of smart home devices is going to skyrocket, especially after last Christmas. You think about all the different pushes that Google and Amazon and others made for this kind of technology to be given as Christmas gifts, or the amazing deals they made so that people would buy them. I think we're going to see a big jump in that number. It'll be really interesting to see that continuing to grow.
I see that 8.6 is an area for them to take over. I see that's where you can go.
And the sad part is our industry has historically been very bad at marketing. While we do a very good job putting solutions in, we don't do a great job promoting our solutions, talking about our solutions, and once we get those solutions installed, continuing to market to our customers. It's very few customers that I have personally that say, yes, I've got a very long, robust customer communication plan that starts on day one and goes all the way through the end of their contract and beyond. Very few organizations do that today. And if you're listening right now and you ask yourself, do we have anything like that? I'm guessing the answer is no, or maybe you utilize something that works for the first few weeks or something, but then after that, you don't have something. So, really think about how are you marketing, because Google, Amazon, and others will not stop marketing to your customers. So if you want to have that share of wallet from your end user, you've got to scramble for it. And we're all ready and willing to help you accomplish that. Now, I want to do some polls here. Whitney, I don't have control of this. Would you mind launching our polls for us? So the first poll I want to know is, are you even doing a builder program now? I mean, many of you in previous webinars have expressed that you are not doing a builder program yet, that you're looking at it. It's been about a 60-40 split. I'm curious to know if that's the same for today's group of attendees. Helping us understand what that is, it looks like, yes, it is. 60% are saying yes, 40% are not yet. So, that's about the same. So that's good to know. So those of you that are doing a builder program today, hopefully you're going to hear some of the things we're going to talk about in our meetings with end users and take those and apply those to your things. Maybe there's a couple things you can learn and tweak from it. If you're doing something already that's working really well in capturing home buyer appointments, meeting with homeowners, things like that, please chime in on the chat. Help us understand what you're doing. We want to share those best practices with others. If you're not doing a builder program, hopefully this webinar series is helping you to really understand what to do and how to do it. Let's go ahead and close the poll and launch our next one. So the next question I want to ask is, if you are doing a builder program, what's your current take rate? And when we say take rate, what we mean is of the customers you are offering your services to, what percentage are actually taking your services? Okay, so if you talk to 100 home buyers and only 20 of them buy, you have a 20% take rate. Historically, the market has been about a 20% take rate, a 20% penetration rate for security. And Madison shared in our first builder webinar that the builder segment of the market can be up to about 40% of the market. And we also shared in our first webinar that some of the programs that we've had in place are enjoying an average of 59% and some as many as 75%. So I'm curious to know, if you know your take rate, what is it? If you don't know the take rate, just leave it blank. You don't have to answer it. But would be curious to know, what is your current take rate? This is going to help us understand where you're at so that we can help you improve that take rate. Again, the goal is to try and get as many of those customers as possible to take your services and then have an opportunity to market to them. So
Eric had a comment. He said,
Yeah.
because of previous builder webinars, I decided to join my local home builder association.
Nice. Good, Eric.
Mark.
That's excellent. And I would be very curious to know if you've had a chance to, what impact that's had on you. So help us know what's working well. Have you had a chance to meet new builders? Do you feel like you're fitting in? Has it been a good, good environment? We'd love to hear that. And I think there's probably quite a few people on the call today who say, maybe I should join mine. What am I going to get out of it? So share that if you've had a chance to get that yet. Let's go and launch the next poll, Whitney.
Okay.
So the next poll we're asking, your customers ask for, choose all that apply. Do they ask for video doorbells? Do they ask for smart thermostats? And this could be not just customers in a builder situation, but just customers in general. Remember, we're talking about the full market here. What are they interested in? Are your customers asking for security? Do they come to you because they want security? Do they come to you because they want smart thermostats or because they want smart door locks or smart lighting? Obviously there's not the full list on here. Go to webinar only lets us put, I think 5 or 6 choices on here. So, hopefully this gives us a little bit of an idea of what people are asking for. But it is interesting to see, are they asking? I always wonder when I see something like this, are they asking because that's how you've marketed yourself? Did you market yourself as a smart home company? Did you market yourself as a home security company? Did you market yourself as smart business security, etc.? So understanding those kind of things might influence the kind of impact that you're having on your customers as well. So again, very interested to see the data here. So thank you for sharing that. And it looks like 93% of people are saying that customers ask for video doorbells. That's huge. And 93% is security as well. I'm excited and impressed to see that smart thermostats is 75% and smart door locks. In fact, let's go ahead and share these results. Go ahead and close the poll. I want you to share those results. We don't normally share the results of our polls, but I think this is interesting. Video doorbells at 93%. Security at 93%. So let me ask you this, and again, it comes in terms of marketing ourselves. If video doorbells are 93%, when they go to your website, is video doorbells the first thing on there? Because if 93% of customers are asking for it, why wouldn't you want video doorbells to be on your front page? Okay.
Yeah.
When you're talking about it in social media, are you mentioning video doorbells and things like that? So ask yourself, if this is true, if this is what people are wanting from you, and maybe the items that they're asking for are not on this list, but are you marketing those well? Are you marketing them in the same way that other people are marketing them? If someone sees an advertisement from Ring or from Nest or things like that for their video doorbells, is your video doorbell video or marketing the same or equal?
Well, you're in a great position, too, because that conversation is so popular right now,
Yeah.
especially as the holidays approach, that you're going to see people, a consumer, just get ads for them all the time, and now all of a sudden they see your ads, and now they realize, oh, wait a minute, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
A security provider can do that.
Exactly. And I hear that a lot. I mean, I shared in our last webinar, we met with a builder, and he's like, oh, I didn't know you did that. If I'd known that, I would have done smart lighting. And the dealer was like, yeah, I do all this stuff. And he's like, oh, well, I had someone else do this. I would have done this differently. Builders all the time will tell you, I would have done it differently if I'd known. So help them know what you're going to do. So thanks for taking time to fill out those polls. We might have a few more polls as we go throughout. I want to make sure that we understand as we go throughout today's webinar today, we're making a few assumptions. We're assuming that based on webinar 1 and webinar 2, that you're positioning this builder program as every home gets a base system of some sort, okay? We're assuming that base system includes Z-Wave devices, preferably installed by the other trade contractors that are coming into the home. We're assuming that your base system does not include security, that you've trained the builder staff, and that you've decked out the model home. So just so you understand that, if the things we're talking about, you think, well, I haven't decked out the model home. Why is he saying this? I didn't put signage up like that. That doesn't apply to me. Just know that we're making the assumption that you have decked out the model home. And if you haven't, we're recommending that you should. So just be aware of that. Let's dive into timeline. Madison, timeline is important, isn't it?
Yes, I mean, it's everything. So really from beginning to end, it's all about being really in communication with your builder that you're working with and the homeowner. So, and just making it really simple and easy for them. So during trim out, as Jeremy mentioned, having the builder work with their existing subcontractors, they're going to be, installing some thermostats, some door locks. So make sure it's the right compatible pieces that they're installing up front. And then you, as the dealer, are really the hero in the equation. You're coming in, you're installing a panel, maybe some other devices, and then learning in everything to really create a smart ecosystem for that homeowner when they move in. And then, moving on to when a home is vacant, really starting that in-home marketing that Jeremy's going to talk about, so that when, they're showing the home, when homeowners buy their new home and walk in for the first time, you are really what they're seeing, and so they know that you're their preferred dealer.
And there's a lot of concern out there in the market of, I don't want to install my panel during trim out because, maybe someone's going to try and steal it. We're going to talk about some of the things you can do to overcome it. But it is really critical if you want to get to that 70% take rate that you install the panel during that trim out period so that you can pair the devices, so that the local automation can save the builder that construction power and keep that home safe, so that the in-home marketing goes throughout the entire vacancy period. Remember, that vacancy period is also the showing period. It shouldn't just say vacancy up there. It should say showing, because in many cases, people are showing that house. Do you want it? And in the cases where there's some builders who are literally building a whole bunch of houses and say, go walk out and choose the one you want, they're going into each one and looking at it. Realtors are coming in looking at it. The home buyer themselves, even if it's a custom home that they've worked on, and it's only vacant because they haven't moved in yet, because they haven't closed yet, they're still coming in. They're still going in and saying, oh, honey, look, they've got the trim done. Oh, look, honey, look, they installed the thermostat today. Oh, look, the doors are on today, and they're getting excited and they're talking about it. If that panel's in there, not only is it keeping that model home safe, but it's also doing all of that marketing. Every time they're coming in, they're seeing your name, they're seeing your information. That in-home marketing is really, really critical. And then we get to the closing part of the timeline, and that's where you get to actually meet with the home buyer. You get to install your extra devices and do your upsells. And then after that home closing is the customer's occupancy, and you cannot forget that your in-home marketing, your communication, your offers continue past that, just that closing period. You know what? I think many dealers make the mistake of going out marketing, making the sale, and then they never talk to their customer again. You can't do that. In a world where Amazon and Google and so many others are attacking and trying to get your customers away from you, you've got to be just as good at marketing as they are. And maybe you'll never achieve that, but you got to at least try to make sure that you stay top of mind with your customer. So let's talk a little bit just briefly about that installation during trim out. So you first start by mounting the panel. Maybe you have the electrician pre-run your wire. They could put it on a single, double, or triple gang box, and you can mount the panel right to that. It's designed for that. Maybe you want to have the electrician hide the power supply in another place so that wires run away, so it's not right underneath the panel, but maybe run into the utility room or things like that. In new construction, you've got some leeway there. So working with the electrician, working with the builder to accomplish that is nice. Then you pair those devices. In the case of, for example, D.R. Horton, it's Z-Wave thermostat, Z-Wave lock, and a Z-Wave light. Maybe your builder program with your builder is a little bit different. Whatever those are, you pair all those devices, and that means that during vacancy mode, you can protect the home and save energy. And enabling that vacancy mode on the panel allows the door locks to lock automatically each night, allows the lights to turn off, allows the thermostat to adjust, saving that construction power and making sure that home stays safe. Now, there is a question of devices to hold back. Now, Madison, when we were talking to D.R. Horton, there were certain devices that we knew were going to install before, during trim out, and then there's other devices that are installed after closing, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think, we talked about, installing the panel during trim out, learning in the light lock and thermostat. But what about the Wi-Fi connected devices? I think, there's certain questions that you need to ask yourself when determining whether to, install a device during construction or hold it back. Is it likely to be stolen? We found with the video doorbell, that was definitely something that we wanted to hold back for D.R. Horton homes. One, it's on the front of the house. It's probably more likely to be stolen. But two, it is a Wi-Fi connected device. And so those devices, the homeowner needs to already be living there, have a Wi-Fi internet connection. And then it's also good too, to really hold that back as a carrot or an incentive for the home buyer to make sure that they're actually meeting with you and setting up an appointment so that you can deliver those devices to them.
Absolutely. And part of that, we talked about that in-home marketing period. You've got to really start advertising. Advertise those devices. Here's an example of a flyer that D.R. Horton marketing department made for the dealers in the D.R. Horton program. Ranger Technology reached out to us and said, I love this flyer, but I want that digitally on the panel. You can see the example right there of how we customized that flyer for them. And now they're using it and putting it on every single panel during trim out. And that message is now appearing. Call to get your free devices with Ranger Technology. They see the phone number. They see the email. And people are being enticed to call and set those appointments. And, of course, if you can get the customer to set those appointments, they're setting appointments potentially even before closing occurs. Now you've got the customer knowing I'm going to be meeting with Ranger Technology. And if someone else comes to try and knock on the door and say, hey, I'm your new smart home person, they could say, I've already got an appointment with Ranger Technology. I think you might be full of crap. So there's a lot of ways you can advertise. On-screen billboard with the IQ Panel photo frame. You can do flyers. You can do emails. You can send text messages. You can do mailers and postcards. Maybe you want to get on social media. And there's a lot of resources on the Qolsys dealer portal and on the alarm.com partner portal that you can download and customize. And, of course, if you want support and help with some of that, we certainly can help. Now, I've got a poll that I'd like to play here. For those of you that do have builder programs, or maybe for those of you that are intending to do builder programs, I want to know, which devices do you hold back? Okay, which devices are you not putting in at the time of trim out, and which are you waiting as an incentive or waiting to install? Is it the video doorbell? And you choose all that apply here. Video doorbell, maybe it's voice control devices. Are you holding back security? Are you holding back life safety devices? Maybe something else. Curious to know what you guys are holding back. I have talked to some people who say, no, we install everything. Other people say, no, we hold, almost everything back. So based on what you do will influence your take rate. And we're seeing that, right? Madison, the dealers that are getting those higher take rates are absolutely holding devices back, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just kind of a smart thing to do. Like we said, not giving away everything all up front and providing some incentive for them to meet with you.
Yep. Okay.
We did have, before we jump into the results, Ryan commented and said, if you have a builder program in your area, you want to do it. It's 100% a great investment. He's actively involved and has good experience. So he wildly recommends participating
in the builder program?
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for that.
And then we can jump into some of the other questions a little bit later.
Okay, good.
But anyway.
Let's go ahead and show these results too.
Yeah.
So again, I want to go ahead and close the poll and share these results. So again, when we're talking about what people are holding back, 64% of you are holding back the video doorbell. Voice control, 56%. Now this tells me that there's still a high percentage of people that are still installing that video doorbell. There's probably reasons for that. I would love to hear those reasons. I'm sure everyone on the line today would be interested to know, why would you install voice control sooner and things like that. So chime in and let us know. But it's very interesting. Go ahead and close the results there.
Yeah.
And then we'll dive back into the presentation here. So again, holding those back can be a big incentive, but that does mean that you're taking 2 trips. Now this has been a challenge for some people, but again, Madison, the data shows us that the people that are being most successful are making 2 trips, right? Oh, Madison, we can't hear you.
We lost Madison again.
Right.
I'm
good. The idea being that the first trip that you're making during trim out, you're installing that panel, you're learning in those automation pieces. I think, there's some real nice incentive there to do that, because you are creating that smart home ecosystem for a homeowner when they move in. But it also allows you to start with that marketing and the branding directly on the panel, so that the homeowners are familiarizing themselves with your company and they know, who they're going to be working with. And then after, the second trip, once again, we're talking about holding back certain devices, bringing them to, your white glove appointment with the homeowner, where you're installing everything, showing them how to utilize their smart home services.
And be aware that when we say 2 trips, it doesn't necessarily mean 2 trips per home either. There's a lot of dealers out there who are saying, yeah, I'm making 2 trips, but I am making, trip number 1 when I'm installing it during trim out, I'm doing the whole street at once. So I'll come out and, all 4 of the houses that are on that street, or all, 6 or however many there are, we're coming out, and it's a very simple install. All the Z-Wave devices are already installed. You're putting the panel up, running the wire, plugging it in, and then pairing devices. you could do that, in an hour or less. Hopefully you can do that in 15 minutes. I feel like that's a very, very fast thing. And if you could do that, knock out all of that, get the branding on each one and do it in multiple houses, that's one trip that you've now done the whole street on. And technically you could probably even try to do the same thing, and not as successfully, for your after move-in appointments too. When you make that trip out to the homeowner and you try and schedule that, maybe you schedule the homeowner and say, I'd like to meet with you on Thursday at 3 p.m., knowing that you've already got an appointment with another customer at 10 a.m. that morning, and you want to make sure that you've got a few hours to do everything, and again, you probably need to decide how long you need between appointments, but you could potentially line up all those appointments to be all in the same time period too. Remembering that you don't want to wait too long or jeopardize your ability to close that customer just because you want to save a trip. And the dealers that I've talked to as well about this, when we look at the math, if you're only getting 40% take rate today, and I know there was a good percentage of you that say that, if you're only getting 40% take rate today and you switch to this model and it could get you to 60% take rate, would it be worth it? I think it probably would, right? So again, try it out, see what the impact it has, and some builders are actually mandating this. I've heard some builders will actually say, no, we force them to do this stuff during trim out so that we can get that construction power savings and secure the home before construction is complete. And so it kind of forces you to have to make two trips anyway. But before we dive on to the next thing, I'm sure we've got a lot of questions. What kind of questions should we address here, Whitney?
First of all, when you showed branding,
Mm-hmm.
John asked, can we customize any of that for them? So there were the billboard,
Mm-hmm.
panel billboard. There was some flyers and some help videos and things like that. Are those things that we can customize?
Absolutely. They're on the dealer portal today. If you want to download those items and customize them yourself on your computer, you certainly can. The files are there and available for you. If you want help with that, send an email to marketing@qolsys.com. Kelsey's done this, dozens of times for people, customizing photo frame images.
She's gotten quite good.
She's gotten very good and very fast. So it's not much work for us to go through and customize that with your logos and things like that, and we'd be happy to help you with that. No charge, just for being a great Qolsys customer and for attending the webinar today. So yes. Absolutely. Great question. Thank you for asking. Other questions?
Yes, we have two more, I think. Alexandra asked, for other people on the webinar, what's the best way to connect with builders? Is it associations, cold outreach, etc.? What are your
Great question, Alexandra. So for those of you that are working with builders, how'd you find them? Where'd you go? How'd you talk to them? Where are you just cold walking up to the place and saying, hey, I'd like to do smart home stuff? Are you doing it through association meetings? Are you doing it through, trade shows, events, things like that? Sounds like we've got some people in the audience who would love to hear your advice on how they can get involved with builders in their area. So thank you for asking that.
Ryan says associations and trade shows.
Associations and trade shows, says Ryan. Okay, great.
And then pertaining to this exactly, is anyone pre-wiring for structured
wiring?
Yes, which creates 3 trips, and I just don't know what that is. So.
Yeah, it's a great question. If you're pre-wiring for structured wiring, I'd love to hear your feedback on because that potentially would mean 3 trips. What they're basically meaning is there's, structured wiring is the other wiring that goes within the structure. So cameras, internet, those kind of things. Oftentimes that kind of stuff can be done by electricians. Maybe it's done by you. Maybe your company offers those kind of services. But, we'd be interested to hear how that affects you and things like that. But, it really does help build, as we look at the ecosystem that we as an industry can provide, like lock, thermostat, security, flood detection, cameras, audio. I mean, the list goes on and on. There's a lot of opportunity for you to get very involved with the builder and show them that you, as a contractor, can provide a lot of great services. And we talked about that on one of our previous webinars as well, how you can really assert yourself as an authority in the space. Let's keep on with our content unless there's any other pressing questions.
No, I think we're good.
So we mentioned earlier that there's been some people that are concerned about poaching. When we say poaching, it means that you've done the work, you installed your panel during trim out, and now you're waiting to get in contact with the homeowner, and meanwhile, someone sneaks up and comes and activates your panel instead and basically steals the account underneath you. Well, first off, if you're one of those people that's done that before, stop it. Stop it right now. I'll tell you right now, that is super naughty. If you were one of my kids, you definitely go in timeout. You're literally stealing from someone. if I'm a dealer and I took the time and expense to purchase a panel, put it in the house, do all the work for it, and planning on meeting with the homeowner in a way that's not pressuring the homeowner, but at the homeowner's convenience, at the builder's convenience, you know, I'm working very hard for that sale, and I'm probably making multiple trips to try and make sure that everything's going well. You know, if you are one of those people that's going out and saying, oh, these are easy pickings I can go through, please stop. It hurts all of us as an industry. There's lots of business out there. Let's please all go out and get our own business. Now, I've heard some people, and I've talked to some people directly who are doing this, and they say, well, all's fair in love and war, right? You know, if they didn't do a good job reaching out to the homeowner, then I should be okay to go out and sell them. And while I agree with the fact that if you as a dealer don't do a good job reaching out to the homeowner, don't market yourself, don't do the necessary outreach to contact the customer and make sure they know about you, I disagree with the fact that all's fair in love and war, because it's not. Again, there's incentive. There's not incentive. There's money that's been spent by the person installing the system, and you're literally taking that out of their hand. Now, you might say, well, maybe they were my existing customer before. They moved into this new house, and they want to be my customer again. In that case, again, here it comes down to marketing. You, as a person, as a marketer, as a salesperson, should go to that customer and say, hey, when you move into your new home, I would still love to be your provider. I would still love to give you a great rate. Please reach out to me. Let me know how I can help. I want to do that for you. And then work with them on that. Maybe that means that you need to uninstall the panel that the dealer's installed and then return that to the dealer. That would be a very nice, kind thing to do. And I don't have a problem if, you know, you're a dealer that already had that customer previously and you want to be able to own that account. Now, your builder might be very frustrated at the fact that they were supposed to get a rebate from that dealer, and now you've basically come in and taken it. So just be really careful that you don't burn a lot of bridges and make a bad reputation for yourself. But if you are in the position where you want to protect your home, here's some things you can do. First thing, branding in the model. If you've done a good job setting up your model home, like we talked about in our previous webinar, you put branding throughout that model. Your logo, your colors, things like that are in key positions where as the customer goes through, they recognize your logo, they recognize your name, and they start to feel like that's my company that I'll be interacting with. And you do the same thing on the panel throughout the home. You know, maybe you put a door hanger on the inside of the home so that when they come inside, instead of it being outside where it gets lost, it's on the inside of the home because you've got access to it, right? Maybe you want to tuck a flyer into the top of the panel. Maybe you want to put a sticker over top of the glass of the panel. I've heard all these ideas work. Another idea is brand new, and you'll see in your downloads today on this webinar, there is something that we're calling the panel ad trim ring. You can literally get something, and we'll help you brand it if you want, that you could put around the panel, either sticking to the wall, a removable adhesive on the wall, or you can put it as cardstock and kind of hook it on the panel. Maybe that's got your incentive. Call to claim your free devices. This is nice because you can still interact with the panel, still turn the lights on and off, still do a demo of the system without having to remove it. And it's kind of that same concept as your credit card. When you get a new credit card, call to activate the card. This is kind of the call to claim your free devices and activate your system, you know, that kind of thing. So this is just a quick mock-up we've made. Again, there's an attachment there. You're certainly welcome to take that and make something new with it. I use that as a template for it. If you want help with that, reach out to us. We'd love to help you with that. So there's doing that branding, again, is reminding the customer subconsciously in many cases, this is the company I'll be working with. These are their colors. And when someone with an orange shirt knocks on the door or a blue shirt knocks on the door, they're thinking, that's not the same color as my company. That's not the same logo as my company. Maybe this is a scam. Maybe this is somebody else. Maybe this is the right person. I should be a little more wary and be careful about talking to this person. Because many of those, I will warn you, many of those people will walk up and say, hi, I'm here to activate your security panel. And the customer's going to go, oh, okay, come on in. So just be aware.
Kelsey and I actually take calls for Qolsys, and we get multiple calls a week from end users who just bought a house and they moved in. They have a panel on their wall. What do they do? How do they activate it?
Yeah.
Who do they call? And so
branding's important.
Huge. That's where this plays right into it.
Absolutely. Another thing you can do to stop them from taking your panels, make sure you're changing the dealer, installer, and master codes on the panel. This might seem as a no-brainer for some of you, but believe me, there are people on this call today who aren't doing that. So please change the dealer, installer, and master code to something that you recognize so that when you're ready to activate the system, you can adjust those appropriately. And someone else coming in that's not participating in your company would not be able to get into that panel. And then the other option, and I would almost consider this something that is broadly going to support all of the homes in the community, is Alarm.com's property management plan. Now, Madison, this has been really effective for builders to manage their vacant homes, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we know those production builders, they build a lot of specs, and that will sit empty for a long time. So there's really incentive for the builder to know what's going on inside those homes. And so our property management plans allows the builder to do that. From a single dashboard, they can log in and see a group of all their vacant homes. They can see details of, are they locked at the end of the night? Are they running an energy efficient schedule for the thermostat? If they need to assign user codes for people who maybe real estate agents, contractors that are going in those homes, they can do that. So there's really a great incentive for the builder to be utilizing this, but then also for, from a dealer perspective, that locks out the panel because it's in use.
Absolutely. And that's an important key point here is once you've activated that account, the only way that you can get into that account is by replacing the panel, because that panel will be locked out to that account until you change it as the dealer. Questions, comments from the audience that we should address?
Yes. First question is from Kim pertaining to the property management plan. Is there a cost?
Yes, there is a monthly cost per home. We can, if you reach out to your Alarm.com sales rep or go on the partner portal, you can look at a breakdown of the service plans and what that cost would be to you. But it's generally in line somewhere with our commercial plans.
Great. Okay. Good question. Very good question. What else?
And James has a question. He has a new customer that moved.
Okay.
They had ADT with their old house, and they will have to pay out a contract to sign with James, which is costly. Any advice to sell them his service?
So I guess the first question I would have is how much time do they have left in that contract?
Well, if it's costly, I'm going to say
it's costly. I mean, everyone's definition of costly is different, right? I've heard that some door-to-door sales reps will pay as much as 6 months if someone's monitoring to do it, to get them out of it. That's a tricky situation, and really, it's almost up to the homeowner. Maybe you've got some incentives that make it so the homeowner's willing to do this sooner. Maybe you want to put some, marketing in the customer's hands that says, hey, here's what I can do. And as soon as that contract is up, I really recommend calling me, but I don't want to interfere with the contract that, you've already got. And it's up to you. I can't force you to pay 2 contracts. I also can't force you to, not try and cancel that contract somehow. So you can certainly make advice that way. But that is a tricky situation that another great reason why we use contracts in this industry, right, is to help lock your customers in to service with you. In this particular case, if that particular company is not going to do well to promote some of the latest technologies, it might be a challenge for them. So I wish you the best of luck on that one. I don't have a set way to do that other than, if I were in your position, I would work really hard to say, here's what I can do, here's all the services I can have, and here's the incentives I have for you. As soon as you are ready to make the commitment to me, here's what I have for you. So, go for it. It's the same as anything else, right? You might want to buy a new car, but you're currently in another lease for another car and you owe money on it. How do you get out of the car that you don't want to be in anymore and get in the new car? Well, you can wait and save up. You could try and sell it and take a loss and do it. I mean, it's almost really up to the homeowner at this point and how well you've marketed yourself.
Yeah, I used to work for a dealer, and we actually did the buyout for previous contracts, and we did cancellation. So we were kind of handling both. And it was just that. We had a few incentives for them. Sales reps might offer to compensate, however much they would. But it really is, here's what I have. Call me when you're ready. You can't really do much more. And then we had a dealer comment, actually.
Okay.
Brandon, he says, we'll give 3 months, free months, or free devices to compensate the buyout, but we typically stay under 1 year with buyouts. And James commented that it's a 4 years left, so they've still got quite a bit of time.
4 years, that's definitely not cost effective. So very interesting. Thank you for that participation too, guys. This kind of stuff helps really make these webinars, come alive. So thank you for that. Let's dive into the next one, dealer branding. We've talked a lot about this already, but there's a lot of options for dealer branding on the panel. You've got your logo in the top of the screen. You've got your contact information on the panel. Both of those can be pushed remotely from alarm.com. It could also be loaded locally using a micro SD card right in the side of the panel. So if you wanted to customize those things, you could do that right there. The videos on the panel could also be customized with an SD card. So it comes with 15, video tutorials, but maybe you want to add a commercial or two on it, or some other video that you've got. Maybe it's an introductory video to your company or things like that. You could put those right on the panel using that micro SD card. And the photo frame itself that displays throughout the home, you can customize those, and we've shown examples already today of ways you could customize that, and again made the offer that will help you do those kind of things. So remember that dealer branding, because that's going to make a big impact in this type of scenario. Now, when it comes to contacting the homeowner, a lot of dealers will come to us and say, how do I do this? What's the best way to do this? And there's obviously no perfect way to do it. I would be curious to hear from our audience today, how do you contact the homeowner to get that appointment? My first suggestion is a pre-close email. Hopefully you're working with your builders and getting what we call a closing report. And those closing reports are coming to you regularly. I know our D.R. Horton dealers that are in the D.R. Horton divisions throughout the United States are getting closing reports either weekly or monthly. And so they're able to see who's going to be closing and when are they closing. And that has contact information for them, so they can send an email like this. My name's John. I'm your smart home configuration consultant. I'm looking forward to helping you get a new home connected. We need to schedule a meeting after your closing on this date to get your video doorbell installed, get your free Amazon Echo set up. How does Wednesday at 4 p.m. work for you? Maybe that kind of thing is a text message if you have their phone number. How often do you want to reach out to them? Is it a month in advance? Is it 2 weeks in advance? My suggestion is, as soon as you have their information, at least make an introduction. Think of it as the carpet guy or the person doing the floors. Imagine if you're building a home and the person doing the floors reaches out to you and says, hey, by the way, I'm the company installing your floors. We're going to do whatever's expected by the builder. If you want to look at some other options, let me know. And it could be just as casual as that. If nothing else, all it does is help promote your brand superiority. It helps establish you as the brand that's going to be used. And they remember, oh, yeah, that's Bill at Carpets America. That's, Susie at, Appliance Warehouse, whatever it is. And I know that if I've got a question or I suddenly halfway through the buying process want to change something up, I can. It very well may prompt customers to call or email you back and say, hey, I got a question about some of these smart home things. Is this, what comes with it exactly? What else can I add? I may have this other device. Does it work with it too? And creating that dialogue early can help make sure that you are having those great appointments when it's time to have those appointments. If you're not able to contact them during pre-close, you definitely want to try and do a post-close email. Oh, thank you for buying a ABC home. I'm your security company, your smart home company. I'm here to help get you everything set up. When can we meet so I can get you your free app? Make sure that you get your your free devices. Here's the incentives I have for you. I want to make sure I go over all the details, make sure you understand everything, how to use it. This is all, complimentary to you, no obligation at all, that kind of thing. And then also, when you actually get that meeting, doing meeting reminders. Now, Madison, there's a number of tools that Alarm.com put in place to help make those meeting reminders easier, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So we came out with a feature called On My Way earlier this year, where once you've set up that appointment, once you assign a technician to that particular appointment, and when they're getting ready to go to that next appointment and meet with that homeowner, through mobile tech, they can actually click that they're on their way, and it sends a reminder to that customer notifying them that their technician will be there soon. So, it really just kind of allows you to stay connected to that homeowner and really let them know that you're going to be there for them. In addition to On My Way, for those dealers out there who might be using Security Tracks, which is a CRM system that Alarm.com helps provide, there are automatic reminders that can be sent out, 3 to 1 day in advance to really help remind the homeowner of that upcoming appointment.
I've heard that those dealers that are using security tracks have had a really, really good experience with it. And the take rates are higher with those particular dealers because they're able to really engage with the customer more. And again, it's not about using an extra service. It's about engaging. It's about being able to interact with your customer. They see your logo in the home. They now are getting messages via email and or text message and or phone call. It's about engaging with the customer and showing that you're not just a one and done, but you're actually going to interact with them throughout the life cycle of their ownership. So very, very important. Any questions about contacting homeowners or feedback?
Yeah.
Okay, please.
Let me see. I wasn't quite prepared. Bundling. Oh, nope, that was a different one. Okay, I'm so sorry. Your builder probably gives every homeowner a welcome basket or folder with all the contractor's information. Make sure you have a flyer and contact information in
really
it.
Good
Ryan.
Ryan, great tip there. That's a really good tip. If you're not making some kind of flyer that goes with the closing papers or the closing gift or things like that, a postcard or maybe even your own gift to contribute in there, that's a really good best practice to share because I think it really will help that branding and again, create that presence. Just think about the mind-numbing. If you bought a home before, it's like you got that ream of paper that's like, let's sign here, flip, sign here, sign here, sign here. And at the end, you're like, okay, I got this giant thing, but maybe there's that one page. Okay, and this is your smart home company. You'll need to contact them, or maybe they'll contact you, and you're like, okay, good. But that's in there. And if your closing person is talking about your smart home company and showing you that paper, again, your brand, your colors are being presented yet again in that position. So everything you can do to kind of reiterate yourself in that cycle is excellent. So great tip.
Ashley says that they get closing information from their builder a couple times a week. They also reach out via phone call and email within 2 business days and continue to reach out up to 2 months after closing. I asked her what her success rate is. She hasn't responded just yet.
Ashley, great tip there.
Yeah.
Really good. And that's awesome that your builder is willing to do that. Not all builders are. So talk with your builder and help them understand why you need that information and get those reports from them. It really will make a big impact. And then once you get those reports, do something with them. Don't just sit on them.
Brandon suggests getting with other vendors installing Lightbox thermostats. Let them know who you are so they can tell customers about you. Love
Brilliant.
That one.
Brandon.
Love that one.
Brandon gets a t-shirt for that one. That is awesome. That is a great idea. And that's another great, that is not just a great idea to reinforce it, but imagine the impact that has on the electrician when later on someone says, oh, I'm thinking about a security system, and they're like, oh yeah, you should call ABC Security. I work with him over on this builder thing. I met him. He's super cool. You'll love him. I'll send you his contact information. What a great way to network and grow your business. Great job, Brandon. Thank you for that.
Should have thought of that.
Yeah.
Charles says, who typically pays for the equipment that's being installed as the, quote, standard home?
Great question, Charles. We've talked about this a lot in our first webinar. If you, as a contractor, have asserted yourself properly and built your builder program properly, your builder's going to pay for it. And it's going to be paid for and lumped into the cost of the home. Remember, they're buying appliances and putting those in the home. They're buying carpet, flooring, putting in paint. They're putting in other things. They're doing this stuff already. They're willing to pay for this kind of stuff. If you look at the stats that were shared on our first webinar, what was it, 9 or 11% is allocated toward technology in the home. Builders have budget for it. It's your job as a security dealer, as a contractor, to say, here's the services I can provide. Here's what I do. Here's my rates for them. Here's how much I'll charge you for the equipment. Here's how much I charge you for labor. In many ways, this is one of the best types of businesses you can get into, because unlike walking up to a brand new customer where you're now having to have the homeowner buy and you're having to figure out, how do I lump your equipment costs into your monthly rate and keep it low enough that you're still going to, want to use it and not going to want to cancel or not want to abandon your shopping cart with me? How do I do all that? With a builder, in many ways, if you structured it right, you come into this situation with zero creation costs. And that is powerful. To be able to go in and say, if the home buyer signs up, their monthly fee goes directly into our profit, because everything else has been covered by the cost of doing business here. It's really, really awesome. So again, that's part of you structuring your business deal with the builder the right way. And I highly recommend watching the first video we did where Madison and Spencer Moore from Rapid Response did a really great job helping us, understand how to position those all together to build a great builder proposal. So thank you for that question. Other questions before we go on? More. Keep them coming, guys.
Well, Kim had a comment that also building relationships with model home sales reps has been very helpful to them.
Yeah. Yep. And we talked about that a lot on our last webinar. Having the model home sales reps understand you and do this kind of stuff. That's another reason why I think it's so important to have an employee purchase program, because the model home sales reps will really do a good job promoting you when they have the system themselves and can talk about it.
Yes. And then Ryan, is it Ryan? No. That's it.
Okay, let's keep going. We got a lot more to cover, and we're kind of out of time. So let's keep going. So when you actually present to the homeowner, Chris, you volunteered with the Boy Scouts. I know I've done the same. Tell us what the edge method is and how this might work well in a presenting to the homeowner type scenario.
Sure. When you're talking to Boy Scouts, Cub Scouts, the whole idea is ways in which to teach them to do something. You've heard the expression: you catch a fish, you feed the person one day, but if you teach them to fish, they eat for the rest of their lives. So this is the idea of teaching them to fish. So EDGE stands for educate, demonstrate, guide, and enable. So you start with educating your customer and getting them to understand what the offering looks like, what it is that they're going to be using, and all the details that go into that. And then you demonstrate it, because it's much more to be touching and seeing something than it is just to hear about it. Demonstrate how they would arm the system, demonstrate how they would open and close their doors to the smart locks, and how they turn on and off lights, and they'll get the appetite for it. They'll be excited. And then you guide them through the process, best practices maybe, ways to handle turning your thermostat up and down as you leave for the day, when you're gone for vacation, where to put cameras, best place to put door sensors, all those guiding things. And then you just enable them to actually use it. You express to them the ways in which you best get the functionality. You enable them. You kind of stand back a little bit and just let them run, and they've adopted it all by just experience.
Absolutely. And if you walk away from that house, you think, okay, do they have a way to create new users? Do they have a way to arm and disarm the system? Do they know how to use their app and find it and things like that? If you've done all of this properly, they're going to be very, very excited about it. Now, in terms of the basic demo, I highly recommend movement throughout the home for two reasons. Number one, gets the blood flowing, makes you feel like you're not just going to sit in a chair and just, this kind of thing. You actually get to move around and reference things. But as you're moving throughout the house, you're going to see the layout of the house. You're going to see how they move, the things they're interested in. They'll make comments. And later on, when you're doing your upsells, it will really come in handy. And we'll talk about that in a moment. The other thing that I really suggest is comparative demos. So, for example, if you've done a good job on your own home system and you've got a really full system on your own house, you might say, okay, on your mobile app that we just had you download, look how you can see your video doorbell, for example. On mine, I can not only see my video doorbell, but I can also see my indoor camera, my outdoor camera, my blah, 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 and you can show off those things. I can also see my recorded clips here or there. That's part of the paid program, but, on yours, here's what you do. And you create these comparative scenarios where they now can see what's possible, knowing that either today they're going to upgrade to that, or if it's not today, at some point in their near future, hopefully they will. And of course, you want to guide them through downloading the app. You want to make sure that they know how to use the video tutorials, and the whole concept that Chris just shared, the teach a man to fish type scenario. Those video tutorials on the panel are one of those things where it's, hey, if you don't remember anything else, just go to the panel, click on my logo. Again, more branding here. Click on my logo, touch video tutorials, and here's all the videos right here. You can just watch them. It'll teach you how to do everything. And you can even watch my video that I've added on here with my company if you've chosen to do that. So a great way to present to the homeowner and really kind of help them understand what they need to do to get started with their system. And then we'll move on in a moment here to how to do upsells. Questions before we do that?
Just two. Is free smart home hosting available from alarm.com for the first 36 months?
Great question. So Madison, help those who were not on our previous webinars understand the builder program plan for alarm.com.
Yeah, so the builder program, what we've done is really kind of eliminate the reason for a builder to say no for you to putting in a standard offering in their home. So we're offering a automation service plan that includes 7 features: lights, locks, thermostat, garage door, shades, voice control, and live view with the doorbell camera for a trial of 36 months. So really allows you to offer those homeowners something that, there's no strings attached. All while meeting with every single homeowner in that community, you have the ability to hopefully upsell them to additional devices.
Absolutely. And that kind of brings us to the next subject here, which is positioning your upgrade with free versus paid versus pro. And this one got a lot of attention in our first webinar when we showed this idea. This is something that, again, came from best practices of dealers who are going out and getting, 59 to 75% take rate. They'll position it as, here's what's included in your free app. For example, the one we gave a moment ago, your video doorbell, you can live answer and live view your video doorbell. If you get a phone call or you're here at work doing an amazing webinar with some wonderful people, and suddenly your doorbell rings, Whitney.
That happened.
You could answer it. Did it really? That's
yes, it really did. Look.
She could answer. Oh, yeah.
The button.
Yeah, video doorbell. So she can answer her video doorbell here. But if she missed it because she was answering your questions on this webinar, if she only had the paid plan, she would not have been able to see who that was. Okay? Now imagine, and this is a great scenario, I love to share, and I heard it from one of our dealers, is imagine you got a package and you answered the door and said, sure, just leave it on the porch, I'll get it later. And then you get another thing that says motion detected on your porch half an hour later, but you missed that one because you were paying attention to the things Madison was saying about the free builder program. And then you look and you're like, oh my gosh, I missed the motion. If you don't have a way to look at recording, you just missed someone stealing your package, and you'll never know who it was. So sharing those kind of scenarios with someone, and again, using personal experience as much as you can, for me, this is what I like to use. In the free plan, this is what we offer. Now, in this particular scenario, we're actually showing 3 different plans, a paid plan and a pro plan, where you'd actually add professional support to an alarm.com only type account. We are seeing some dealers seeing some great success with having 3 different options. Maybe your paid plan is at a certain price level, and then the pro plan includes professional monitoring with reliable companies like Rapid Response, who are going to walk through who are going to make sure that if the alarm goes off, that you can have the police or other authorities sent out to your home appropriately. So again, positioning those and saying, here's what you get for free, here's what you get with my paid plan, here's what you get with the pro plan. And maybe on the pro plan, you want to say, well, in the pro plan, it also includes 1 free truck roll a year, or free 24/7 tech support, or things like that. With the paid plan, it's only these services. If you want more of that professional support, you'll need to pay for it. So again, you decide what works for you, but having something here that helps a customer see, here's my options, and letting them choose which one works for them is really powerful. One more note on this. Madison mentioned this free builder program that for communities that have at least 25 homes or more in them. If you are signing up all the customers on at least the free plan, you have all the customers. 100% of those homes are now going to be on your system, which means that if you're doing a good job marketing to them, there's opportunity in the very near future. Something happens to them, or they're going on vacation or things like that, that they may be reaching out to you and saying, hey, I'm ready to upgrade. And you really have a 3-year period to continue to try and upgrade these customers without any threat of someone else coming in and trying to steal them away. Well, maybe not any threat, but with less threat of someone coming in and stealing them away. So any questions that we've got that we should answer about this?
We just have one remaining.
Okay.
And it's actually about the smart security track.
Okay.
It's what phone number appears when I'm using the On My Way feature on mobile tech?
Good question. Madison, do you know that?
I don't know for sure. I would have to check, but I would think it's whatever you have populated under your branding section in the partner portal. So I would look at that to see if all of that aligns with who you want it to be coming from, but I would have to check on that to make sure.
Yep. Great question. Very great question. So one thing we want to make sure that you understand as you're going out and you're talking to these customers, we kind of talked about this already, we certainly talked about in previous webinars, is don't leave anything on the table. Unlike those previous scenarios where they've got different brands for each of the different technologies. That's what a lot of the competitors are doing. You have the opportunity to really blend all of it into one seamless experience, one app for all of these things. And even if they only get the free plan from you, help them understand that when they're ready to shop for lights, when they're ready to buy cameras, they should talk to you first. You've got the right system. You've got the right infrastructure to come and install it the right way. You can give this kind of white glove service. And this is something that's really resonated with not only the dealers, but the end users as right. Madison, why is it that someone would want to use this as opposed to just hodgepodging a bunch of other things from other companies?
I mean, in terms of just initial setup, the fact that you don't have to set up 5 or 6 individual apps and individual accounts that's huge. It takes so much time and to be able to do that, and then managing all of those different apps, it's just kind of overwhelming. And then, if you bring all of these devices together under a single app, you can do so much more. We talked about scene control and rules and automation. Wouldn't it be nice when I unlock my door if my entry light also turns on? You don't have those types of features available with those single point solutions with their own app.
Absolutely. I mean, if you buy a garage door opener that's its own little thing you bought on Kickstarter, and then you've got a thermostat that's maybe it's an Ecobee thermostat, and you've got a door lock you bought from Home Depot that's got its own little app, you can't tie those things together. Your thermostat will have no idea when a door opens. Your garage door can't send you a reminder that it's been open, and when you close it, it automatically will do a bunch of other things. So having everything all in one ecosystem is a huge, huge benefit for the end user, and they understand that. You have to be the one to tell them, by the way, I can do all of it. And we've got some tools that'll help you. One of them is on your downloads today. If you look in there, we've got something we just created today called the new Smart Home Checklist. Now, this is assuming that the devices that are on that list you've already installed, and then it helps them see, here's all the other devices I could install for you. Maybe you want to use that as you walk throughout the home, as you talk about the demo. Now, you've got this. Let me show you this. Let me show you this. Now, while we're here in the hallway talking about thermostat, just be aware, we also offer services to do this and this and this. We can put sensors on each of these doors. Maybe you want a sensor on this closet door so that when you open it up, the light turns on automatically. Maybe you want a flood sensor under this sink while we're here in the kitchen talking about, the Amazon Echo that we installed and demonstrating voice control. You can show them, here's what I've provided for you, and here's what else I can do for you, so that they can see, hey, boy, there's a lot of really cool things they can do. Now, another great thing about this is if you get an idea of what kind of things the customer's interested in, because you're going through and kind of saying, here's all different things. Let me know if there's any of these things you want. Let me know if there's anything that really interests you. I'm going to customize the system and give you a free quote for all the items that you're most interested in. Even if they don't take those items, that's going to come in handy later as incentives for various things. So even if they don't take the free system, okay, or sorry, a paid system, and they want to remain on your free system, knowing what devices they're most interested in could be your incentive to get them to upgrade later down the road. I think there's many people on this call today who would say, I would gladly give someone, a free water sensor if it meant that they were going to sign up for a contract with me and a service plan. I think that's a brilliant way of doing business. So again, here's an example of something. If you would like us to customize this, or you want to customize it yourself, we're putting this on the dealer portal later on, and certainly would love to help you do this. There's also sales flicks if you want to help demonstrate or illustrate those devices. You can download those from the dealer portal. We've got our product flyer that has one of every device on it. You can show them what those devices look like, things like that. So it's a nice way of kind of showing them everything you can do. Again, in the spirit of making sure they know before you leave, you can do all of it. And they shouldn't go reaching out to other companies because you are their provider to be able to do all of it. And if you want support and extra help on all that, make sure that you email marketing@qolsys.com, and we would love to support you on that. Let's talk about referrals.
I'd like to add real quick, Jeremy, before you transition. I think it's also important for the dealer to just convey that not only can they provide these list of items today, but because of their partnerships, because of the companies that they work with, they can provide the future things. And today we're talking about thermostats and door locks and video doorbells being the hot button topics. Who knows what tomorrow is, but what you don't want them to do is see a commercial and think of, I want that device, and not think of you. So they need to think of you first for everything.
Such a great point there, and that's actually one of the reasons that Qolsys decided to partner with Alarm.com is because Alarm.com, like us, is always innovating, always bringing new devices into the ecosystem. That's another great reason Rapid Response has been such a tremendous partner, because you guys are always looking at new ways to bring technologies in to the monitoring space, to the professional space. So with all of these things together, there could be new services, there could be new software, there could be new devices. And by you being in the position to continually market to them, you can help them understand what the future holds before we even know what that is. I mean, if you told me 4 years ago that video doorbells are going to be the most popular thing and 93% of the people on the call today voting them, I would have said, wait, what? Video doorbells, that sounds cool. What is that? You know, so it really is changing at a feverish pace, and you've got to stay on top of it. Let's go on to referrals. And I want to mention this because in the spirit of understanding that checklist, if you're actually going through and understanding what devices they are, this could be a great device to use as a referral incentive. Again, ask yourself, if a customer knew that if you knew that customer wanted a flood sensor, would you rather offer them a free month of service or a flood sensor? Which one's going to make them say, yes, I will be willing to give up my friend's personal information to you as a referral? You know, if they've had a great experience, chances are they're going to be promoting it all the time anyway. But some of you are offering money, some of you are offering bill credits, some of you are offering devices. We'd love to hear what you've found effective in your referrals. So chime in here, please, in the chat section or the question section. But in my experience and the dealers that I've worked with, some of the most effective ones are either devices or device credit. And for two reasons. Number one, it's something the customer actually wants. A device credit is nice because then they get to choose what they want. But number two, when you add in that new device to their home, you're building out their system more, which makes them want to show it off more. When they show it off more, they show it to more people who then say, ooh, that's cool. Where'd you get it from? And the referral could get a snowball. So please, you know, consider at least doing devices as a referral incentive instead of maybe that $100 gift card to Amazon, that $50 Visa gift card, or that bill credit, which they may or may not even recognize didn't get charged to their account or did get credited to their account. Any comments or questions about referral programs?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, let's keep on going. We're so out of time. I appreciate everyone staying on. Customer Lifecycle. Alarm.com has built some great things to help keep the cycle going. Madison, why don't you share a little bit about customer connections and the business intelligence report?
Yeah, so familiar with Alarm.com, you know, we provide a ton of complimentary resources to really help you stay engaged with your customer throughout their life cycle with you. So a great example is Customer Connections. These are e-campaigns that target your customers during the right time in their life cycle. So initially when they're coming on board, it'll send them a welcome series. Later on, you might send them upsell messaging, and all of these messages are branded to you with your message and whatever promotions that you want to incentivize a homeowner with. Another thing that we're seeing a lot of success with is in-app upsells. So we talked about this on the first webinar, where maybe you have these homeowners who are just sticking with the free plan for now. Wouldn't it be great if every time they open up their Alarm.com app, they actually see a promotion for security? So really staying top of mind in terms of all of the products and services that you're offering them. And then really making sure that a customer is engaging with their system and utilizing their system, you know, throughout your contract with them. So this might be looking for warning signs. Are they arming their system? Are they logging in? And we provide a lot of this data directly to you through the business health report. So this is something that, you know, if you're not using them today, definitely log in, start using them. We provide them on a monthly basis, and we even have, an app version as well that you can see real-time data to really make sure that, you know, those customers aren't dropping off. And especially, you know, for the ones that are engaging with their system, that's even more of an opportunity to get them to upsell to additional devices if they're already engaging and using with their system now.
My battery. It's been a long webinar.
Well, I can add to that while he's plugging his phone in. For the monitored side, we see dealers often take advantage of the the history on an event. So if they have a customer that had an actual alarm occur, they use that as an opportunity to reach out to the customer, make sure everything's okay, proactively in a lot of cases, so that that customer's feeling connected in understanding that they're cared about. Furthermore, they could do similar things on false alarms. You know, is everything okay? I saw you had an alarm come in, but it was false. You know, do we need to work out anything, change it up a little bit for you? And that continues that conversation.
Absolutely, and I think that's been a theme that we've seen throughout this entire webinar. And I just want to say thank you so much for being so patient with us throughout this. This has gone a lot longer than we expected. Your questions and your comments have been fantastic. We really appreciated the content. If you're watching this as a recording later on, appreciate you guys sticking on, watching this long video, and hopefully you enjoyed it and you're missing out on all the great interaction you could have had by joining live in here today. So thank you very much. Let's do a quick summary and then we can end. First off, we talked about how timeline matters. It really does matter when you install stuff, when you reach out to the customers, when you talk to them, how you reach out, things like that. It allows you to market throughout the buying process, not just after the home closes. Holding back those key devices as incentives and also to prevent theft, so that the customer actually gets the system that they need, and you get a chance to meet with them. Using appointment reminders to make sure that you actually get that appointment, and when you do, doing some great demos that get them excited, juxtapositioning your free versus paid programs, showing them what you have on your phone versus what they have on theirs, and leaving it all on the table, making sure that they understand everything you can possibly do. And by leaving it all on the table and gauging their interest for various aspects of the system, allows you to potentially incentivize referrals and talk about future upgrades. So it really can lead to some tremendous success. And again, we've seen people using the things from webinar 1, 2, and 3 all together, seeing take rates as high as 75%, which really in many ways flips the entire market on its head. We talked earlier about how 20% of the available market has security. Now you're talking about 75% of these builder programs, when done the ways that we've talked about them in this 3-part series, is getting security as well as all the other services. It really is a tremendous way to capture customers and keep them for life. So thank you very much to our special guests, Madison, Chris. You guys have been phenomenal throughout this whole webinar series. Thank you so much. If you want to reach out to us, here's your contact information: marketing@Qolsys.com, builderprogram@Qolsys.com. You can also email Madison at builderprogram@alarm.com. That'll reach her and her entire team. And then, of course, if you need to contact Rapid Response, you can go to sales@rrms.com. Guys, thank you so much for participating today. Thank you so much for being on.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
One last thing, remember, we did record this, so watch for this on our webinar later. Well,
YouTube channel later.
I'm tired. This has been a long, great webinar. Thanks very much for watching, everyone. We hope to talk to you soon.
Take care.